Well, can't really say most people were, obviously a undefeated season. That's a little crazy. Like that doesn't happen in this day and age. But, the way that it went out, you couldn't have lost in, the regular season when we were playing top 10 teams. You couldn't lose it once during the, Big Ten regular season, Big Ten season. You just had to lose it in the final home game. Yikes. Um, so last season, if we remember last season, we played against the eventual winners, Penn State, and lost brutally in a reverse sweep. Now, this year was a little different. Obviously, still have, a pretty good talent seed here. And getting a bunch of these good teams at home was pretty nice. It just never felt right. And it never does. It's exactly what I felt with the men's basketball team for a while. You're just kind of waiting for the ball to drop. And it didn't happen in non-con play, where they played against a pretty good diaspora amount of opponents. From, conference champions at the lower levels to top 10 teams. And then they went into the Big Ten and only lost one set the entire time. And it was against UCLA, of course. Did UCLA even make the tournament? I don't remember. We didn't play them. But, we get through the Big Ten regular season, and that's it. There's no conference tournament. We went 20-0, and, wow, okay, that's, surprising. I mean, Cook did it in his first season, where he got this team all the way to a national championship, won it all undefeated. So that's when I, unfortunately, started to believe. And it was after beating the crap out of teams, like both of the Kansas schools, just out of the park. And then we lose to A&M. Now, that's fine. You can take our terrible, no good, very bad athletic director away from us. Of course, they had to beat us in basketball. The men's basketball side. That's the one that we, had to win at that time. But not only that, you now beat us in our own house in the sport that we play. And obviously, it was pretty much guaranteed. Whoever was able to beat Nebraska would be able to clean sweep the rest of the competition. Because what do you know? The teams that were next on the docket, next two for A&M, were teams that we beat in the regular season. Fucking kill me. We had a chance. Obviously, revenge match and all that, the shit can happen. But to just lose out like that, and then for, the eventual champion to just, just go right through after, we lose to them. That could have been us, bro. But no. We had to get the flu. Yeah. I just tell myself that, to cope with the pain, I kind of just tell myself that we just forfeited. Too many of our players got the flu or something, and we just forfeited. I don't know if that's an actual excuse. It kind of isn't. But when you do that terribly in the first two sets, rally back the next two, because obviously A&M isn't the greatest, and then to shit yourselves like that in the fifth set, Mamma mia, that was not good. But this was supposed to be. You remember, year or two ago, where all of our players were freshmen, and they still made it, relatively far. Well, 2025 hit, and we did not make it as far. Those teams at least went to the semis. the NCAA semis. This team bowed out in the regionals. The regional semifinal. No, regional final. Oof. It's just like, you had the chance. But because you couldn't, stick your players in a bubble, like, it's not like these players are overly, yes, they do come here to play school for the most part, but it's the biggest tournament of their damn lives. To get sick then, that's it's not how you want to go out. And it just felt like this was the time. This was, when we win the national championship, we go perfect. This is a perfect start to DBK's tenure. And now I'm questioning everything that I had concerns with, back in the regular season. Because if we go back to the regular season, I did say that this team was not the record that they showed. They were not perfect. They were not the team that was, sweeping everybody except UCLA. Because they were pretty much coasting off of what I would call the physicality. They're pretty good technically. I'll give them that. They are really good technically. But other teams are better technically. A&M is better. And what do you know? They have people, from, the general region of Texas. They say everything is bigger in Texas, including the people. And that, that may include, the people that are, going around in, scooters or, mobility scooters or whatever, but, in the grocery store. But it also goes to muscle and being tall and all that. So that's definitely what caught up to Nebraska in the end, was somebody who had the same level of physicality, but also had better technical skill. I'm not entirely sure if that is, full on, this is a coaching issue, because at the end of the day, she still rallied us to 30-0. Like, that's still fucking cool. Like, undefeated regular season, you take that. It'd been nice if you won the national championship, or at least got us there, because even if we just got to the national, even if we lose the national championship, you know what? That is still improvement, because, 2024 made the, the national semifinals. 2025 make the national finals. That's an improvement. But this is not an improvement. It is a massive step back. And anyone that bet on A&M to win, making some money, that's for sure. But yeah, it was always shaky. It always felt like it. It always felt like this team wasn't the perfect that it was telling you by the schedule, the other things. And it showed against A&M that, they aren't the world beaters. They aren't the, complete number one team. There were other teams out there. It's just that A&M rolled through them afterwards. And it's just like, it sucks. But we cannot backslide any further. I hope for 2026 we make it to the regional semifinals. Not the national semifinals. Sorry. Baseball in my head, sorry. You gotta just make it back there. Okay? You gotta at least make some improvement. You might have to take some regular season losses. Alright? This is, kind of why I'm in favor. I would rather have been in favor of the team losing in the regular season to somebody like, I don't really know, Minnesota. I think they had a pretty good team. Like, just somebody that isn't, in the tournament. That's why I'm okay with the men's basketball taking a loss to who. But just like, yeah, perfect season, all that's cool. But it doesn't. The perfect season only really is really said in something when you win the whole thing. Not as many people would be talking about Indiana, doing all that stuff if they don't go 16-0. If they lose the national championship, they are shoved out of the spotlight in favor of the guy that wasn't able to take a knee. Just like, it's not, the full story isn't there because you didn't finish it. And that's what it's going to be for this season. It's going to be a massive what if. And that is by far the worst thing that could happen to a season. What if, some key players decided to not get some dastardly virus that has been going around the state of Nebraska? What if, we decided to sit those players that had the flu and, just roll with our backups? Because, it's not like the backups are complete trash. There's a reason why we play the backups in the third set of every game. Because they do enough in those third sets. Okay? Like, I don't know. I'm yelling into an empty void, but this cannot happen again. This kind of failure cannot happen again. And if you have to realize what a loss feels like in the regular season so that does not happen in the national championship, in the NCAA tournament, that's fine. Again, having this undefeated record sets a shit ton more pressure than A&M just waltzing into our arena with nothing to lose, basically. They've already had a great season up to that point. Like, come on. Also, to any of the A&M fans that were, saying, "Oh, did you already make your plans to go to Kansas City?" Well, most Nebraska fans live in Kansas City anyway. Not most, but a good chunk of them do. There's a reason why Runza exists there. But yeah, or at least existed. I don't know if it's still there, but it's somewhere. Anyway, in that area. I don't really know what else to say. It is been 2 months. I've been holding all this shit in for 2 months. Not really. I kind of said it all on the rant at the end of the season, but beating all those teams in the regular season, that's fucking awesome. We basically, demolished Penn State in their own house. Fuck yeah. Yeah, get some revenge. Yeah, go kill him. Go kill him more than we did LIU. We almost got to Florida A&M levels. Almost. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't 25-0 LIU, but, you can't win them all. Getting all those regular season wins like that, that's nice. Surviving a good chunk of those, early season games. Having to, reverse sweep Kentucky. I think it would have been fine to lose to Kentucky. It would have, heard all the shenanigans about, SEC is better, which, still inevitably happened. But, just next time, let's not have too much pressure during this. Let's play a little more fluid. And hopefully the next crop of young players are able to take the seniors' jobs, and hopefully we won't have yet another infighting in the locker room scenario that makes us lose games. Or almost lose games. Please don't. I cannot have a religion, race, or political war in my locker room ever again. Please. I cannot deal with another season of that. Please. Stop. Just keep it to yourself. Stop. Anyway. that's it. I'll be doing a lot more season recaps. I'll probably record all of them today. Uh, get out the at least the season recaps and then January recaps for men's and women's basketball. It's not a whole lot to do, but yeah, I'll see you guys then. Good to spy.